All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the STEM Files. We are the voice of STEM talent and Black culture. Tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about the importance of network security and how vital it is to make sure that all of the information that governs or details your nation or your community is secure. So stay tapped in for more after this, family. All right. Again, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the STEM Files. We're the voice of STEM talent and Black culture, where we highlight the best and the brightest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in the Black and Brown communities. I am your host, one of your hosts, Tariq Muhammad, aka Tariq Cardiac. I'm a biomedical research scientist with a concentrate or a background in cardiovascular pathobiology, which is the study of how diseases form in the heart and blood vessels. I also work with patients in the clinical setting after they have just had particularly heart surgery or any thoracic procedure. I'm typically joined by my right hand, my best friend, Jabril Muhammad, aka Jabril Engineer. He is a civilian mechanical engineer for the United States Navy. He works on those big fancy ships that you see out at sea to make sure that they run as smoothly as possible. He couldn't be with us today, but he's definitely here with us in spirit. Tonight's episode is dedicated to understanding cybersecurity, information technology, all things, private or things that should be private online. So we're going to talk with our brother, cybersecurity professional, information technologist, Andre Muhammad. Welcome to the platform, sir.
Thank you for having me, brother, and give the greetings to Brother Jabril as well when you speak with him.
Excellent. Yes, sir. We'll do. So before we get started, family, I'm going to have Brother Andre go ahead and introduce himself, tell us more about his current career right now, how he got involved in IT, and we'll go from there. So go ahead, bro.
Yes, sir. Well, I started in IT in the 90s, right? And it was a really interesting journey. And actually, I always say this path chose me. I didn't choose this path, actually. I actually was in electrical engineering at first, just to give you an idea about that. And I didn't, I was just really looking for something to do that was a trade or a career or something, because, brother, to say I am where I am now, I didn't even graduate high school. I had a GED. So, and
wow.
I had a GED, which actually, I started off in the Vanguard class and doing really well. And you know how that goes in our communities where you might hit a stumbling block. And I ended up having to drop out of school, help my family out. And from there, it was just one thing after another. Got a GED. I didn't know I can go to college. Found out I can go to college with a GED. If I, went into the electrical field, and from there, a friend of mine pulled my coattail about, hey man, computers, this new stuff. And back then, just to show you how long ago that was, this was like NT 4.0. I don't even know if you even know what that is.
No.
Like the very first version of Windows. So DOS was around back then, right? And they still had mainframes. Wow. So this is like the 97, 96, that kind of thing. And
see, I was born in 94, man. So you gonna have to help me out.
Oh, so you were just getting here then?
Yeah, bro, man. I just got here.
Yeah, that just goes to show you how long I've been in this game. And I didn't even touch a computer until I was an adult in college. And people from all these different communities, from all over the world that were in school, they all had been working with computers since they were kids, and computers were very expensive back then. I mean, $3,000, $4,000 in 90s money to have. So, poor people didn't have computers. So, but, we do what we have to do. And I started grinding it out in the lab. I spent day and night in the lab, and I had good professors, from the West Indies, brothers and sisters who, they knew we were a little behind the curve. They were trying to help us out, extra help.
Right.
You know how it goes. And, and I started hashing it out. I started out on the help desk back then. That was still really big. The field was different back then. Cybersecurity didn't even exist. And again, I mean, I really didn't have an interest. And it just goes to show, sometimes we feel like we have to do what we have a love for. I fell in love with this field later, and the field that I would go into hadn't even been born yet. It was just network administration and, PC management. Computer networks were just starting to emerge. The internet was in its infancy during those days. There was really no real World Wide Web that was being used. And it was only a handful of people on back then. So, from there, I ended up, after September 11, I went into the military. And when I got out, I started rebuilding my IT career. And security was starting to emerge as its own thing. Right back then, it was just being a good network administrator. So, and that's just the technical end. It's not the personal end. So I know you may have some questions more along that line. But yeah, I when I got into security, I found something I loved then in IT. So I tried everything. I was trying to be in the music business. We always do that, right? And that's what we do. It's the go-to for us, right? And because I had people in my family.
Sports. Yeah,
right. That'll sports. And oddly enough, I was really big into martial arts as a kid. So that was a path I tried going to also. I had different black belts and different arts. And I was actually asked to try for the Olympics. I was pretty good. I was a state champion in Texas here. And so I thought that's what I was going to do. And it just goes to show you, sometimes Allah has a path for you that you don't even realize. But it's odd because what I'm doing now is really what I've always wanted to do. I just didn't realize what I wanted, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. We don't always realize, off rip, this is going to be what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Some of us find out when we're toddlers. Some of us don't find out till like 25, 30 years old. I think what matters is that was when you realize it. That's the part that matters. Blessed is someone who finds their purpose in life, right? It's not blessed who finds their purpose in life when they're 10 or when they're 25. It's just blessed are those who find their purpose in life. That's it. So whenever you find it, this is for anybody listening, whenever you find it, that's it. Don't worry about when you found it, or don't worry about if you're going to find it. It'll come, for sure. But let's get into some terminology, man. The STEM Files is all about breaking up words. We're not about, leaving our audience not understanding what we're talking about. This is a very, very scientific program. So I want to go ahead and just break up some terminology. So first and foremost, before we go any further, what exactly is information technology? What falls under that umbrella? How do we use it in our everyday lives?
Well, and we'll start from the bottom, work our way up. So, of course, there are formal definitions of things, but we'll be informal, right? To make it make sense. Sometimes those are the best answers, not just what Webster says it is, right?
Exactly.
So, information technology is basically computer systems, are their derivatives, are their offsprings, or different variances that are used to communicate or facilitate functions as far as, and when I say compute, that is to do computing, which is calculating, it could be sending messages, it could be receiving messages. We were using computers and didn't even realize it. And back in the day, in the 80s, all those telephone systems and things, video games, all kind of different things, we didn't even realize how computers were shaping our reality. The chips in the VHS were early forms of compute. Calculators were early forms of computers. Just think the first computer was a big calculator. It was the size of a building. So,
right.
Yeah, so think about that. So that's, Can that's saying computing. It could be adding, dividing, coming up with a sum, or dividing a sum, or transcribing something. These are computing services. That's what information technology is: the study of information systems, right? The study, not to use the definition of something in something, but the study of these computing services and tools and software, hardware, all these different things. It affects us literally now. We're swimming in it, right? Television,
Right.
cell phones, which everyone knows.
Exactly.
And really, it's funny too to even mention that, because everything changed when computers turned to cell phones, right? I literally could tell you, if you walked, and this is something your generation may not know, but it may make you laugh. If I was to tell you how few people were on blogs and on web broadcasts and things like that, because they were around, right? But how few people and how complicated it was to stream and things like that back before the cell phone was used as a tool in information technology, it would be very few, right? You could literally get on and talk to someone who could be famous because there were such few people on. And be like, hey, oh, someone responded back, and you could email.
Right. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it was a big deal. But when the cell phones came, and it was over with then. So yeah, no, so it affects every aspect of from the small, minute things to there was just a computer hack recently in a children's hospital, right, where they stole data and they sabotage systems, things like that. So information systems and security. That's how security emerged as a thing, because these systems have become so intricate and such a part of our lives that someone who has bad intentions, or even a mishap, like when Y2K happened, right? A lot of people think that was a myth. No, it wasn't a myth. I was one of the people going around updating systems so that it wouldn't be. I made a lot of money during that time, updating systems on Y2K. A lot of people may not even know what that is.
I remember that one. Now
Yeah.
I remember that one coming out. I was like, watching certain TV programs and listening to older children and adults just talk about, oh, the world's gonna go haywire and this, then, and third, and watching nothing happen. But yeah, I remember that.
It was very close to happening. Yeah, but they paid a lot of tech guys to go out and update the systems, and we made a lot of money, and it was over.
Right. So let me ask you that. So what goes into the psychology of someone who wants? Because to be honest with you, I really don't see the joy or where the happiness will come from hacking a system or causing that kind of sabotage or what have you. So what goes into the mind of somebody who wants to do that type of thing to any type of system? Like what drives the motive or the psychology behind it?
Well, that's a good question, brother. I'm glad you asked that one. First of all, think about this. Now, initially, the individual hacker, the movie guy, the black hoodie, war games, Edward Snowden, this kind of stuff. This is what we were used to hearing. The one rogue guy who, decides to take on a government or take down a system, something like that. This is what we were accustomed to hearing. And in those days, there were people who were, environmental activists or terrorists, depending on, how you want to go with that one. Some people they got big time jobs back then. It was a kid, I think she was maybe 14 or 12. She hacked a satellite and moved it, a government satellite. And, she ended up working for the NSA after that. So
they were recruiting them for them government agencies.
Yeah, so a lot of people were trying to get good jobs back then. After they finished their probation, they'll would end up going to work for the government. But that's changed, right, a bit. And some people were just that it's power, to be able to control. These are billion-dollar corporations, and to say you can get on your keyboard in your house, and of course they probably have like really high-speed systems when they do it. But just ideally though, you're on a system in your house. And with the press of a button, I could take down a global infrastructure, right? Some people strange like that. But today's a bit different. Today, cyber security, which initially was just, like I said, being a good network administrator or programmer, Then it morphed into security. Then, cyber security. Now we're in the phase where it's cyber warfare, right? This is becoming big, and nation states are involved. Like, say you have Russia now. Russia's been sanctioned so badly by the U.S. They're trying to get around these sanctions by having the cyber criminals launder money and move money around. They may try to retaliate with a cyber attack to the U.S. infrastructure, things like that. They will, and they have. They have people in governments like North Korea, China, Russia, that have whole divisions, brigades devoted to cyber crime. From these things could affect the economy of a nation. They could upset technology to the point of disrupting organizations that support the infrastructure of a company. I mean, it's all kind of ways they could steal wealth, protect their wealth. It's all kind of things you could do with it. So that's really the mindset of it's a profession now. They have professional in India and Asia, which some people call India Asia now, but they have professional cyber rings, and all they do, they're people that work in IT, and they just go around, extorting money from companies. Matter of fact, I've worked at quite a few companies that they just didn't have time to, and it was so expensive. They would just pay the hackers. They have credit cards with that the CISOs would have with $2 million, $1 million in their draws, just to bail out the network in case of an emergency, and they couldn't get in touch with anyone. It was too difficult to where their cyber guys couldn't break the hack or the encryption that they put on it. They just pay them. So yeah, really.
There's a program that I watch. Now, I don't want anyone thinking that, anyone in the audience thinking that I watch a whole lot of TV, because I don't. But there's a program that I like called Criminal Minds, and they have a data. Well, they call her an analyst, but she is essentially their resident hacker,
Right.
and that's what she was before she was hired by the FBI. She was literally taking down infrastructures and systems like they were nothing, So talk about that. Like, I know we touched on it a little bit just now, but talk about using or the government's idea of using criminals, especially when they know they're criminals, to help them with their overall agendas or what have you. Even in the Nation of Islam, some of us are former criminals, former drug dealers, former whatever you want to do, whatever you name it, whatever you want to call it. Some of us used to do that. So do you think that this is their way of reforming the criminals that they recruit, or is this something that helps them meet their agenda?
Could be a bit of both. Of course, some would say that these government defense agencies are not necessarily in the business of reforming criminals. That could be a good, positive byproduct of, with the work that they're doing, which, their primary function could be defense, right? So, and that's understandable. All nations do that, and they all engage in it, right? I mean, like I say, China has that's known to have the largest division and branch of hackers in the world, right? I mean, these guys are top notch. They groom them from children, and that's all they do. So, our nation is more on the defensive end to at this point trying to protect, because, sometimes just the way nations are structured. But yeah, I mean, it's pros and cons to everything, of course, but I think and think about this, like the early days when these intelligence agencies were really, whether it was the British or the American, whatever the really good intelligence agencies, they would hire criminals or magicians and people, whatever. Well, really, whatever you were good at, people that were good and great at what they did to teach, because those are people who know, right? And some things you can't teach in universities. really it's getting to the point now, and not to branch off on another subject, but just
No,
to
you're good.
be honest, it's getting to the point now in cybersecurity where these colleges can't keep up and with technology, with the way AWS, Amazon alone releases new products at least every 2-3 weeks, sometimes at the once a
Yeah,
month.
there's no way they can keep up with that.
Yeah, there's no way. Universities move too slow. So even the tech schools who specialize in this are having a hard time keeping up. So if you have good hands-on skills, man, so much money out here. I mean, I know guys that are crushing it. Almost everyone I work with, they're millionaires. Like I'm just sitting at the big boys table now. I'm like, man, I wish I could have got here earlier. And I want to
Yeah,
help.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that reminds me, like a family member has said, when Microsoft first came out, they slept on it, and they didn't invest it like everybody else was investing in it. And now here we are, and it's a multi-billion-dollar company. And anyone that invested back then when it first came out is, billionaire, close to a billionaire by now.
Google,
So
Microsoft,
yeah. So let me ask you that. So talk about, having these emerging companies come out, whether they're tech companies. Well, let's talk about tech companies specifically.
Okay.
When we see them come up and we see them becoming successful, like a Tesla or a Twitter or a Facebook, just coming from like 10, 15 years ago, what would encourage someone to invest in a company like that? And what would discourage someone? And how do we encourage? And I'm not encouraging anyone to invest in the stock market or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But what deters a person from getting involved in something like that when it's first starting out?
Well, of course, stock markets could be a bit tricky, a bit risky. It's some people describe it almost as like gambling, but and that's from a person who I have stock, but I'm very careful. It helps to know the technology, to understand it, and when I came up, I was around when Google was going big in Microsoft, like you were saying, and boy, I really, bite myself for not jumping on those. And I remember when the Google stock, was $100, right? Like something around that line. So, sometimes it comes out the gate bigger than that, but yeah. So, I would mainly, and make sure I get to the point of what you're asking, say to understand the technology if you want to invest in tech stocks. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It actually could be quite lucrative. But the most successful people I have seen have went a different route. Some of them worked at these companies, right? And so they say Amazon pays you in stock. Some of the big companies, I have stock because some of the companies I work for, they pay you in stock. Right. And some of that stuff, I just may not touch it. I'll give it to my grandkids. It'll be worth more, when they're around, if you can help it. But some of the most successful people, what they do, whether they're like, say, for example, the work my wife did, she works in commercial real estate, where she's did that for like 25 years before I even met her. And she sells buildings and commercial properties. And all the events, she's a portfolio manager for these, wealthy people. So when they come to her, if they don't come from generational wealth, most of them, or a good percentage, maybe 60% are doctors, IT people, engineers, and they want to invest their money. They would invest, instead of just going straight tech stock, they would invest in commercial real estate properties, put businesses in them, flip them, turn them over. They'll also invest in, do research with the agents, because these portfolio managing agents, they could tell you, they have all the specs on what would be a successful business in those areas, but they use the tech money to generate wealth to have more solid investments. That's a little secret, a little jewel I gave that a lot of people don't know. Yeah, because most of the guys I'm telling you about, they're like, oh, Andre, you should let us know you're going to move out there. I have some properties out there. They just talk about this casually. I have like 30 houses in Houston. you know. So, and I'm nowhere near that. So,
Right. Okay. All right, cool. Well, family, we're at the 30-minute mark of the show, and this is when we usually like to do our final call newspaper plug. So at this time, family, we're going to go ahead and check out a video about what the final call is all about, and then we'll get into this week's issue. Stay tapped in.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call digital edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
All right, now Jabril usually does this part, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my best to give it as much justice as he gives it. So, this week's issue of the Final Call newspaper is "The Chastisement of Allah God Has Begun," and it's basically talking about, the current state of the world right now, as it relates to everything that's going on in Ukraine, the COVID-19 pandemic, and so much more. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us in The Fall of America that Europe will become a graveyard. And we're seeing the beginning, and this is not, I'm not talking about any group of people. I'm not belligerent, making anything, I'm not being disrespectful to any group of people. I'm just talking about what's going on in front of us right now. And the way Russia has been taking over Ukraine is a perfect example of the beginning of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us for decades upon decades now. And now we're starting to see it unfold. So definitely check out your latest issue of the Final Call newspaper. If you're in the Philadelphia area, definitely tap in with Brother Jabril. If you are in Richmond, Virginia, the state of Virginia, definitely tap in with me to get your latest edition of the Final Call newspaper. All right, family. So now I don't know if Jabril is watching, but I really do hope that I did that part of the show justice. I usually leave that to him because his energy is 10 times greater than mine. But, I'm sure he'll get me on it. All right, so let's get back to it, family. So we're talking about cybersecurity. The topic of tonight's show is protecting the information of your nation. And we're sitting here with Brother Andre Muhammad. He's a cybersecurity professional, a leader in his field. So we're going to talk about some leadership now. So, Brother Andre, tell us more about what you do for the company you work for, your day-to-day activities, and how important is leadership for you as it relates to cybersecurity?
Okay. Well, I'll build up to that one, right? Just to give you an idea, and this kind of bleeds off the other question I that you asked me earlier, and I didn't get a chance to touch on a few points. So, I've had many different positions building up to this. I was a fellow in Congress, for the Speaker of the House, working the DOJ, Department of Labor. I mean, I've done some really big things, some of the largest cloud migrations, which with that, people don't realize that we're living in a very interesting time. This is a very lucrative time. That's part of why I'm here talking to you now, right? We have a chance to really come out on the other side of this with great wealth, like the scriptures say, and they left with great substance. This is opportunity, and we're in the driver's seat. We're just not taking advantage of it. It's like a whole plate has been, or a feast has been laid out for us, and all you have to do is sit down at the table and take advantage. But I left my government position because I seen my friend had been one of my mentors pulling my coattail. Man, this is the second wave. We've lived through at our age booms in tech when things converted to the World Wide Web. That was big. It was a lot of money moving around. He took advantage of that stuff now. So he's paid. He's a millionaire. He's done his, but he's still in the industry, just banking money away for generations to come. And this is what I want for the believers. But I moved in from, working my way up from a junior infrastructure architect to, senior architect, doing all these government projects where the government backbone was being rebuilt. And I was one of the senior people involved with updating and this to the modern tech age, right? So when you're, these systems that are defending the nation, I built these things. I did the security architecture, right? That's what I'm doing now. I'm at, the largest company really in the world. So it's a slight wording thing because I'm at the bank. I'm at JP Morgan. Some people might say, well, it's the biggest bank, but it's not the biggest company. No, it's the biggest company in the world. It's the biggest bank in the US. It's a semantic word game. If you do a little digging, it's the biggest company in the world. It's worth over $3 trillion, and I'm a global executive, VP of cybersecurity. That's what I do. Protect the infrastructure still of the nation because the financial infrastructure is part of what protects us. And if things went bad, it would affect us all in a very negative way. What I do, and now this is where it gets a bit interesting here. So as I moved through my career, the position, not only did my position change, it became more senior, but the field changed as well, right? This field is always moving. It's always evolving. So it went from just being a good local network administrator, your computers right in your little office, to, the computers and your platform could be in your city, to your nationwide system. Now I'm over global systems, right? And migrating them to a modern infrastructure. So you have all these brilliant people, right? All these smart guys, smartest people in the world. That's literally who I work with. People, top of the line, all the big wigs. They hire these people. Okay, we need to upgrade these systems to this modern infrastructure, be at the front of technology. All these companies are battling to see who's going to emerge, as the leader in the world in tech. And what I do is they hire people like me, and we look for flaws in system designs. We look for ways to improve systems and the technical systems. So what I do, literally, I'm a lifelong learner. To be on this path, you have to dedicate yourself to knowledge, to learning, to science, to always questioning things, always, really looking at things from how could I make this better? How could I improve this? What faults exist in this that can be exploited, right? How can I defend that position? How can I monitor for, violations of the flaw or violation of rules that I may put in place to protect these systems? Meet compliance. You may have to meet government compliance per region, per country, right? Each country. So now this is the most interesting part of it all, though. Not only do I protect technical systems, it does also involve culture, the culture of organizations, and the state of mind that individuals have, personal biases or group biases. I have to take all these things into account when I'm examining. Because I work the positions I sit in as a leader in security, I work with intelligence agencies, intelligence groups, business intelligence, cyber intelligence, developers, architects, engineers in technical areas, and finance, all these different energy sectors that we may work with. And I have to literally look for the technical flaws, then look for the flaws that may exist and how to make things better and more efficient. Because if something isn't efficient, that's a security risk, right? Yeah. So just now, I didn't know, just think about that. I didn't know if that was something that may have even crossed, most people's minds. But so I literally make systems better, not just technical systems, cultural systems, and the infrastructure of organization teams. I come in and make them more efficient. Those are part of things.
Okay. Yeah. Got you. Now, speaking of, inefficiency, and we're talking about how weak a system is, what are some of the things you all look for in terms of those weaknesses or those spots where that need improvement? So if you're looking at a company or organization and you're analyzing their system, what are like 5 things just off rip that you look for in terms of improvement, or like that you look for in terms of, okay, this could use improvement here, use improvement there, and so forth?
Well, the first thing I would ask is, what is the system? What's the type of system? Is it on-prem? Is it cloud? And what type of cloud platform? What vendor? what other services they're using. And I also meet with business stakeholders because I want to know what infrastructure or applications that they have, what's the functionality of it, what is the actual sum total that the business wants from this product, right? What is it supposed to be achieving? So you have to ask those questions because sometimes the technical teams have a totally different idea of what the business leaders want, and you have to bridge the gap. That's the position I see.
Right.
Those are
Right. Two different types of minds.
Yeah. So that's how I hit the ground running, right? I start meeting with leadership. Okay, what are you guys doing? What is this? What do you want? What are you trying to do? Where are the architecture designs, where are the blueprints, and I start to, sometimes they don't, you have to compare, what they have is different. Oh, we just found out that our designs, don't match and we lost some data. It's all kind of interesting problems you get hit with on these big, organizations and, different companies I consulted with over the years and stuff like that.
Wow. And that must be a heavy price to pay. Like when you finally realize what's going on, and you're missing a lot of important information, like that could really, affect the company for the worse. So, have you seen companies fall or go into bankruptcy, anything like that, because of the loss of information in that manner?
Most of these bigger companies are really good at absorbing the cost of those type of things. They have insurance for that kind of stuff too. It could be more of a reputational loss than actual, but sometimes, you have some really big breaches that cost companies money, and I have seen them, but the larger ones are really good at not being bankrupt and hurt by it. If it was because they put a price tag on this stuff, right? They already know. So it's convenient sometimes when the type of data that could be lost is like stuff that was not really so important, or that they thought wasn't important, because what may not be important to you, to a person with malicious intent, it could be a treasure trove of information for them. But yeah, they're really good at absorbing the cost and all that stuff. These people have been doing this stuff a long time. Most of them, man. You'll pay for it before they will.
Right, man. So pretty much the bigger the company, the more money they have, the easier it is for them to bounce back from the loss of information.
Yeah, the smaller companies, though, it can hurt them. It can hurt them bad. You can get sued. You can get hit for government regs, which now, just say 10 years ago, they didn't hardly have any government regs around, IT personal data and stuff. So a lot of this stuff is new, and, the fines may break a smaller company, but for another company, it's like, we keep money like that handy, the bigger ones, just to, pay that stuff off. So
got it. Okay. All right. So for those who are watching, family, both Andre and I are members of the Nation of Islam. We're also members of the Ministry of Science and Technology, which is one of the 9 ministries that the Nation of Islam is currently working to structureize and build. And, I am a witness bearer to Brother Andre's leadership skills. Even though I serve as the national coordinator for that ministry, Brother has checked me on quite a few things that would need improvement, just from the way I hold a meeting to, different things in terms of setting up the ministry as a whole.
It's all love.
Say that again.
All love.
Oh,
bro.
of course. Trust me, I felt the love. If it was anything other than love, I would have been on you about that. But I do appreciate it, and I wanted to ask you. You came up with a program that we're going to, God willing, be presenting to the community very, very soon. But what made you want to get involved in community-based outreach with your skill set? Because we all have a lot of STEM professionals, and some professionals want to stay in that box of professionalism and not take their skills and their knowledge base out into the community and help others. So what was it about cybersecurity that made you want to be, okay, this is great information, this needs to be in the hands of the community?
Well, me being a student of the ministry, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as yourself, I always had a love for my people. I was like that from a child. My mother could even tell you I was like a kid, maybe 7, 8 years old, and I was like, Mom, I had a dream last night. I'm gonna be a warrior for God, you know. And it really, and I did. I had this like grandiose dream, and I just knew that was my purpose in life. But turns out it was true, right? I'm working for God. I'm working with the Christ.
Here we go.
And I didn't know my place, and I was just listening to the Swan Song, right? And just really listening to some of the notes, the minister was hitting on this one song.
Yeah, still studying that. Yeah.
Oh, brother, it's like my third or fourth time listening to it. Well, the third complete time, right? The fourth picking it, and
that's a forever lecture. I'm gonna call it that.
Yes, sir.
You never gonna stop studying that.
I mean, it touched so many things, but one thing, the leaving it all on the field, all on the court, I live by that, and I try my best to live by it. Sometimes we fall short, and really just focusing in on, it's just so much, brother. I love my people, and I've always wanted to, even a friend of mine, we got into technology, we both agreed to come back and help the community one day, right? And so, sometimes we got busy and we didn't get a chance to do everything. I didn't know how that was going to unfold. I really didn't. But it turns out that because, like, say, for example, the opportunities that exist now, they didn't exist in the same form 20 years ago when I first got into IT, over 20 years ago. It was very difficult to get in. You had to pay a lot of money. I paid a lot of money. I had to work in the day and go to school at night, sometimes work 2 jobs when I couldn't afford a quarter in school to pay for, the next quarter. And now with this technology, you can log in at home and build a global infrastructure and practice and tear it down before you bill for it. Right.
Exactly. All from your house, your bed.
Yeah, right.
Lazy with it.
Right, exactly. So, and this is a unique opportunity, plus something very interesting is happening now, and I believe it was prepared for us, by God, and that is the globalization that has happened over the last 20 years. It sought to go out and expand to save money, right? The big businesses went out and they were going to hire people from all over the world, to save money, and some things backfired. Some things were efficient and they're good. Diversity in the workplace, it's good. But they found that some of these groups from other nations don't have the same interests as we have here. Some of these guys were building back doors in these systems they were building for them that they can hack in and extort them on later. So these big tech companies and the government, they're all looking for homegrown talent, right? And they're looking in the Black community. They're trying to invest money. Of course, it's the old guard people that don't want that. And there are other people who they want the money, they want the opportunity that's prepared for us. So they're literally fighting us for a position that most of us don't even know we have. And that's why I'm here trying to spread this word. This is a big opportunity. This is a great time to get out and, get this money and build our nation and have the capital that we need to build a nation, have the technical know-how. Technology affects everything. And to build a nation to be we're in a position, think about this, we're in a tech change. Things are moving from on-prem infrastructures to a virtualized infrastructure. Everything's being updated now. So Tech is still new. It's an opportunity for poor people that they never had. They're building these little small places in Africa now, in these little villages, and they're learning cloud and development there in places that barely have internet connections, right? And they're putting in to do this stuff. But we're in the richest nation, most powerful nation in the world, the tech nation, and we're in an opportunity that they're looking to invest in us that they never really had been doing before. So this is what's driving this. I think we can come away from this with great substance.
Sure, for sure. You said something very cute, not very cute, very key, and that's get this money. I don't want the audience to think that, it's a bad thing to, encourage the community to get paid from something that they learn. Everything in this universe it belongs to us. So if we want to build a legacy or build a livelihood from what we learn, That's perfectly fine. That's what we're taught. In the Nation of Islam, we're taught to do for self or suffer the consequences. You know, so when we learn something new and learn something incredible and important, you know, we have the right to get paid from it. You know, so that's with any field: medicine, technology, engineering, education, you name it. You know, there's money to be made. You know, so, and that's one of the great things about our parent company. If you see at the top, family, it says powered by OMS. Original Man Scientific is the parent company to our media arm, the STEM Files. And we literally help people with their inventions, with their ideas, with their innovations. And we show them the type of legacy that they can build from their ideas and the products that they come up with. You know, so definitely tap in with us, sciencebyOMS.com. That's not a plug because it's been sitting up at the top of the show the whole time.
Sorry,
you know?
should
Exactly. Come on now. All right, so we're approaching the end of the show. I've learned so much about cybersecurity, information technology. We definitely want to have you back on. Matter of fact, we got a spot open next week if you want to come on and do a part 2. And Jabril can be on that one. Okay. I know you're listening, bro. You can be on that one. Yes, you know, so is there anything that you want to leave the audience with, beloved, in terms of learning information technology, cybersecurity, or anything along those lines?
Well, I will say this, for those people out there who may not know what they want to do, The Messenger was about us being successful, money, you know, find homes, friendships, and all walks of life. And he was really about science and technology, right? At the time, it was engineering. I mean, if you study the teachings, it's all through his science. I mean, what I do is not just computers, it's science, it's high science. And it's our science. You'd be surprised how many Black people were involved in creating this. It will blow your mind. It's really our science. And it's time for us to take our place, you know, and this is what we deserve. We deserve nice things, and to be able to have hospitals for our children and vaccines that we know won't kill us. And for our parent to be able to take care of our parents. My mother lives with me. She doesn't want for anything. My wife hasn't worked in years. My children have the best education. And that's right. The best of everything that I could afford. And I grew up, you know, with barely having enough to eat. Right. So, and my people came from the farm to the city for work. And this is our time. And I just want to thank you for having me on the show. And I want to give a thanks out to, you know, our minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, for his work that he has devoted to us. Over this time, I wouldn't be here if he had not risen to the occasion. And I challenge all of us to rise to the occasion, to be the best that we can be, and take on this challenge of getting this technology to build our nation, to build TV shows for our children where we don't have to watch pornographic things in between skits, in between the shows. It's time to build a nation, and it's time for us to man up. I want to challenge the men out there. Let's do this. Let's get together. You have people like myself. I have mentors. I have people that I'm connected with. We're here. I'm an open book. I'm not charging any money for anything. I don't want any money. I make plenty of money. Allah has blessed me. I want to give back to help you, Brother Tariq, to help Brother Jabril, to help the nation to be better. That's what I'm here for us to be the best human beings that we can be, to be the light for humanity. That's what I'm here for.
Allah. We definitely appreciate your service, beloved, and we feel it in everything that you do, and everything that we do together. Family, you know, this has been a great edition of the STEM Files. Now, there's usually a portion of the show that we call the speed round. And the speed round is just lightning fast questions that we ask our guests that have nothing to do with tonight's show. And you got to answer each question within 3 seconds. You ready for it?
Okay. I heard you do it before on some of the other shows. I said,
yeah. We know we had to get you.
Okay. No worries.
All right, bet. So what's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
I check the news.
Check the news. Okay. Hot or cold?
Hot.
Okay. iPhone or Android? Now hold up. Answer this very carefully, because I know you in IT, but you don't have to go in the direction I hope you're not about to go in.
Well, I have to go iPhone. I don't have a choice. but I prefer an Android.
Okay, you prefer. Okay, that's all I need to hear. As long as you prefer an Android, we good.
Yeah.
All right, bet. So if you were trapped on a deserted island and you could only listen to 3 albums, what would they be?
Ooh, 3. I'm old school, man. I like Lenny Kravitz. You gotta have some Lenny Kravitz, some Living Color. I'm old school, and I have to have hip hop, so I'd have to have some something real good, old school, Goody Mob or something like that.
Goody Mob. Oh my God, Goody Mob. You took it. Wow. Okay, bet. So all right, so oh yeah, classic. Oh man, you got me thinking of some stuff to add to my workout music. But but so like, okay, let me ask you this. If you could meet any scientist or engineer from the past, who would it be and why?
I actually got to meet one of the, on the phone. I didn't get to meet him in person. One of the scientists I looked up to, Jack Frisco, and he's was a humanist, and he was very big on using technology to make the world better. And he was brilliant, and he was a great mind. And I had a chance to meet him before he passed, and it was really beautiful. It was he's a beautiful human being. So
excellent. Okay. All right.
If you haven't seen anything, check out. He's a little anti-religion. That part I didn't agree with him on, but I understand why he was. Well, he wasn't necessarily anti-religion. He was just anti, bull crap in your religion. So
got you. Okay. If you weren't involved in information technology or cybersecurity, what would you be doing right now?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I always love martial arts. That's what I like to do.
Second love?
That's my second love. Yeah. Since
I was a kid. Okay. Bet. Any particular form or fighting style?
I like jiu-jitsu, not the traditional jiu-jitsu, because it has punches and kicks and joint locks, and the right hand. It's a complete art. So.
Got you. Okay. Bet. So you definitely going to that national training in July then, huh?
Oh, I love it, brother. If I get a chance to, you know how that goes. But I hadn't been in a while.
Got you. All right, cool. My name is Brother Andre Muhammad, and I am.
My name is Brother Andre Muhammad, and I'm a servant of the people and of the ministry. Just here to help them.
That's right. Excellent. Well, brother, we appreciate your time. We thank you so much for coming through on the STEM Files. This, like Jabril always says, this is your platform. So whenever you want to come on the show and update the community about what you're doing, if you have any exciting news, if you're about to become a billionaire, we want to be the first show first program that you come in and make that announcement on. Okay, if you got an exciting product, let that be us. No, we don't want to see you on CNN talking about you done made a gajillion dollars off a product you made. We want first dibs on that.
I sure will, brother. You're gonna be the first one, and anything I can do to help you all or the nation, just let me know I'm here.
Excellent. Well, family, this has been another edition of the STEM Files. Before we go, I want to go ahead and do a Black Business Highlight. That's OMS. The Black Business Highlight is It's Natural, bro. We had this is the same highlight we had from last week, and it's a company that's owned by Brother Malik Boehner. He's also an engineer, like our brother Jabril. And this particular product is all natural. It's a skincare system that he has developed for Black men. So definitely check it out. I plan on buying a whole bunch of his products very soon, as well as Jabril. But we wanted to take the time to highlight our brother again. And hopefully, and I mean this, hopefully, he'll be joining us on the show as a guest to talk about his work as an engineer, as well as his entrepreneurial work. So definitely check that out. It's natural, bro. All of his the website is itsnaturalbro.com. Itsnaturalbro.com. Now Jabril made it sound like a commercial last week, so hopefully I did him justice on this as well. But definitely tap in to that. Also, family, Original Man Scientific has a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. We are, like I said early on, we are a research and development company. So there's a lot of things that we're working on. And our flagship product or flagship program is the Navy Bean Experimental Research Station. And we're currently developing a type of biofuel from the Navy bean. It'll be made available to the public for the content of this particular product will be made available to the public this summer. So if you're interested in learning more about it, definitely visit us at scienceByOMS.com. Once again, it's scienceByOMS.com, and definitely sign up for our newsletter so you can stay tapped into what comes from this amazing product. I just finished the formula, so I'm very proud of it. And hopefully it'll be in your cars in a few years or so, or within the next year. But we definitely making sure that you get that your house is touched by the Navy bean outside of bean soup in some way. All right, family. Well, that's it. That's all we have for the STEM files. I'm Tariq Cartier, typically joined by my right-hand brilliant engineer, Andre Muhammad. Until next time, family. Peace.